There's a very high chance that right now, at this stage of your life, you are making psychological mistakes that are quietly hurting you, limiting you, and shaping your future. And you don't even realize they are mistakes. What if I told you that some of the biggest problems in your life are not coming from your enemies, not from bad luck, not even from the world around you, but from patterns inside your own mind that feel completely normal? Because the most dangerous mental mistakes don't look dangerous. They look like common sense. They look like caution. They look like self-protection. They look like I'm just being realistic. But sometimes, realism is just fear in a smarter form. Sometimes what you call discipline is actually pressure. Sometimes what you call loyalty is fear of being alone. Sometimes what you call deep thinking is just being stuck in your own thoughts. And here's the part most people never question. You might be sabotaging your own life and calling it normal. You call it overthinking. You call it high standards. You call it personality. You call it this is just who I am. But psychology has a different word for many of these things. Distortion. And if you don't notice these patterns early, they slowly shape your confidence, your decisions, your relationships, and eventually your entire direction in life. So in this video, I want to walk you through 10 psychological mistakes people make every single day without realizing it. Not in a random or motivational way, but in a way that actually helps you see yourself clearly. Because once you see the pattern, you don't have to stay stuck inside it. Now, let's slow this down for a second. You know, most people think their problems come from outside, from situations, from people, from timing, from life being unfair. And yes, that's true sometimes. But what many people don't realize is this. A huge part of suffering doesn't come from what happens to you. It comes from how your mind interprets it. And that's where everything starts to change. This video is not really about other people. It is about you, me, all of us. And honestly, that is what makes it uncomfortable. Because what if I told you that some of the biggest problems in your life are not coming only from bad luck, toxic people, or hard circumstances? What if some of them are coming from psychological mistakes you are making every single day without even noticing them? And here's the disturbing part. Most of these mistakes do not feel like mistakes. They feel like logic. They feel like caution. They feel like self-protection. They feel like high standards. They feel like personality. They feel like this is just who I am. But sometimes realism is fear in a smarter outfit. Sometimes discipline is self-hatred in disguise. Sometimes loyalty is fear of loneliness. Sometimes overthinking is not wisdom at all. Sometimes it is just emotional looping. And sometimes the mind that is supposed to guide you is the very thing quietly misleading you. You may be sabotaging your own life, and the worst part is, you might be calling it normal. You call it overthinking. You call it being realistic. You call it perfectionism. You call it caution. You call it sensitivity. But psychology has a different word for many of these things. Distortion. So in this video, I want to walk you through 10 psychological mistakes people make without even realizing it. Mistakes that quietly damage confidence, relationships, peace of mind, decision-making, discipline, and sometimes even an entire future. But more importantly, I want to show you how to correct them. Because once you see the pattern clearly, you do not have to stay trapped inside it. Now, before we begin, let's slow this down for a second. You know, most people think their suffering comes only from the outside world. From people, from failure, from rejection, from bad timing, from life being unfair. And yes, all of that matters. Of course it does. But a huge part of human suffering does not come from what happens to us. It comes from how we interpret what happens to us. That is where psychology becomes powerful. Because psychology is not just about behavior. It is about interpretation, misinterpretation. It is about how the human mind can take one fear and turn it into identity. One bad experience and turn it into a life story. One painful emotion and turn it into something that feels like absolute truth. And that is why this topic matters so much. Because the most dangerous psychological mistakes are not loud. They are quiet. They are repeated. They become habits. And after some time, they start to feel like personality. That is when it gets dangerous. Because when a pattern starts feeling like this is just who I am, people stop questioning it. And once they stop questioning it, that pattern starts controlling their life. So today, let's expose these mistakes one by one. Not in a shallow way, not in a random motivational way, but honestly, deeply, and clearly. Number 1, the first mistake is emotional reasoning. And honestly, this one changes more lives than people realize. Emotional reasoning means you feel something, and then you assume it must be true. You feel anxious, so something must be wrong. You feel insecure, so you assume you are not enough. You feel rejected, so you decide people do not like you. You feel guilty, so you assume you must have done something terrible. Now the problem is not that feelings are fake. Feelings are real. They are intense, personal, and immediate. But real does not always mean true. A feeling can be real and still be inaccurate. Sometimes your emotions are coming from past wounds, fear, insecurity, or conditioning, not from the present reality in front of you. Think about 2 people in the exact same situation. One person says, "It is nothing." The other says, "Something is wrong." Same event, different internal reaction. Why? Because they are not reacting to pure reality. They are reacting to their interpretation of it. And this is where people get trapped. They stop checking what is true and start obeying what they feel. That is dangerous. The correction is simple, but powerful. Pause. Instead of saying this is true, say this is what I feel right now. Then ask yourself, what are the facts? That small pause between emotion and conclusion can save you from so many wrong decisions. Number 2, the second mistake is confirmation bias. This one is dangerous because it feels intelligent. Confirmation bias means you notice what supports what you already believe, and you ignore what does not. If you believe you are unlucky, your mind will collect evidence of bad luck all day. If you believe someone dislikes you, every neutral thing they do will suddenly look rude. If you believe you are a failure, your brain will keep highlighting every mistake and quietly skip over every success. And the scary part is, you will feel logical while doing it. You will think, "See, I knew it." But no, that is not always logic. Sometimes it is just selective attention. The mind loves to protect its old beliefs, even when those beliefs are harmful. It would rather be consistent than correct. And that is why people stay stuck in distorted thinking for years. The correction is to ask uncomfortable questions. What if I am wrong? What evidence am I ignoring? What would I see if I were not trying to prove myself right? Those questions break mental rigidity. They bring honesty back into the room. Number 3, the third mistake is perfectionism. Now this is one people praise all the time. People say perfectionism means high standards, seriousness, excellence. And sure, from the outside it can look admirable, but from the inside, it is often fear. Fear of failure, fear of being judged, fear of not being enough. So what happens? Instead of starting, you delay. Instead of finishing, you keep adjusting. Instead of moving forward, you keep preparing. You tell yourself you are being disciplined, but sometimes, honestly, you are just scared. Perfectionism is sneaky because it makes avoidance look respectable. It makes fear look noble. A person says, "I'm waiting until it is better. I am waiting until I am fully ready. I'm waiting until it is perfect." But deep down, what they often mean is, "I'm afraid of doing this badly and being seen." The correction is to replace one word. Replace perfect with progress. Progress grows. Perfection freezes. Done imperfectly is still better than never done at all. A messy first step can change your life. A perfect step that never happens changes nothing. Number 4, the fourth mistake is procrastination. A lot of people call themselves lazy when they procrastinate. But honestly, most of the time procrastination is not laziness. It is emotional avoidance. You are not always avoiding the task itself. You are avoiding the feeling that comes with the task. Maybe the task makes you anxious. Maybe it brings up self-doubt. Maybe it forces you to face the possibility of failure. Maybe it triggers insecurity. So your mind looks for relief. And the fastest relief is distraction. You check your phone. You scroll for a minute, then another minute, then another. You tell yourself you will do it later. And for a brief moment, that avoidance feels good. That is the trap, because your brain learns that avoidance reduces discomfort, so it repeats the behavior. That is why procrastination becomes a pattern. Not because you are weak, but because your brain has been trained to run from discomfort. The correction is not waiting for motivation. That is the mistake. Start before you feel ready. Start small. Tell yourself, I will do this for 5 minutes. Name the feeling too. Say, I am not avoiding the task. I am avoiding the discomfort. The moment you name the real problem, you become stronger than it. Number 5. The 5th mistake is overthinking. Now this one is common, especially among thoughtful people. And that is why it fools so many people. Overthinking feels like depth. It feels like seriousness. It feels like intelligence. But there is a difference between thinking and being trapped in thought. Healthy thinking leads some way. Overthinking goes in circles. You replay conversations. You analyze facial expressions. You rethink what you said. You imagine what they meant. You ask yourself what if over and over again. Hours pass. Nothing gets solved. But your mind keeps telling you that you are working on the problem. In reality, you are just feeding it. Overthinking is often rumination disguised as analysis. It gives the illusion of control while draining your peace. The correction is to ask yourself one honest question. Am I solving this, or am I repeating it? That question changes everything. Then shift from reflection to action. Instead of asking, why am I like this? Ask, what can I do next? Also, give your mind a limit. Think intentionally for a short time, then stop. Not every thought deserves unlimited access to your energy. Number 6. The 6th mistake is comparison. Comparison is natural. Every human being does it. But it becomes destructive when you start using it to measure your worth. You look at someone else and think they are ahead. They are more successful, more confident, more attractive, more respected, more accomplished. And slowly, without even noticing it, you start feeling behind in your own life. But what you are comparing is incomplete. You are comparing your real life to someone else's edited image. You see their highlight, not their struggle. Their result, not their process. Their confidence, not the years of self-doubt that may have come before it. And this is where comparison becomes poison. It steals gratitude. It steals clarity. It steals identity. Because if you keep using other people as the measuring stick, you will lose your own path. The correction is to compare yourself to your past self, not to random people around you. Ask, what have I improved? What have I learned? What step have I taken that I would not have taken a year ago? That kind of comparison builds you. The other kind slowly destroys you. Number 7. The 7th mistake is self-deception. This one is deep, very deep, and honestly, uncomfortable. Self-deception is when you tell yourself a story that protects your comfort instead of telling yourself the truth. You say, I am just waiting for the right time, but maybe you are afraid. You say, I do not care what people think, but maybe you care more than you want to admit. You say, I am being loyal, but maybe you are terrified of being alone. You say, I am fine, but deep down, you know you are not. The human mind prefers a comforting lie over a painful truth, because truth demands change. Comfort asks for nothing. And this is why self-deception is so dangerous. It blocks growth without making itself obvious. It keeps people stuck while making them feel reasonable. The correction is radical honesty. Ask yourself, what am I avoiding? What truth feels painful right now? If someone else were living exactly like this, what advice would I give them? Sometimes we can see other people more clearly than we can see ourselves. Use that. Number 8. The 8th mistake is learned helplessness. This one is heartbreaking because many people do not even realize it is happening. Learned helplessness develops when someone tries, fails, tries again, fails again, and slowly begins to believe that nothing will ever work. At first, they are disappointed. Then they are discouraged. Then eventually, they stop trying. Not because change is impossible, but because they no longer believe it is possible for them. That is the tragedy. They do not just lose hope in the situation. They lose hope in themselves. You hear it in the language they use. Nothing works for me. I cannot change. This is just how my life is. And once that belief settles in, people begin surrendering before the fight even starts. The correction is small action, tiny action, one step, one effort, one decision that reminds you that movement is still possible. Focus on what you can control, not everything you cannot. And change your language. Instead of saying I cannot do this, say I have not figured this out yet. That one word, yet, opens the future again. Number 9. The 9th mistake is fast judgment. The mind judges quickly. Very quickly. You see someone, and in seconds, you decide who they are. You experience one situation, and suddenly you think you understand the whole story. You make one mistake, and now you label yourself as incapable. That is the problem with fast judgment. It feels efficient, but it is often inaccurate. The mind fills in gaps with assumptions and then treats those assumptions like facts. And people do this to themselves all the time. I am not confident. I am not creative. I am not leadership material. I am not that kind of person. But most of the time, those are not permanent truths. They are conclusions made too early. The correction is to slow down. Ask, what evidence do I actually have? What am I assuming? What else could be true? Many limitations are learned, not real. Many identity labels are just old conclusions that were never questioned. Number 10. The 10th mistake is living for validation. This one controls more lives than people admit. You feel good when people approve of you, and you feel empty when they do not. You say yes when you want to say no. You act to impress. You speak to be liked. You make choices that look good from the outside but feel wrong on the inside. And little by little, your identity stops belonging to you. It starts belonging to the opinions of other people. That is exhausting, because approval is unstable. It changes from person to person, room to room, moment to moment. If your worth depends on it, your peace will always be fragile. The correction is to ask a brutally honest question. Would I still do this if nobody saw it? If nobody praised it? If nobody approved of it? That question reveals whether you are living from values or performance. Build your life from inner values, not outer applause. Not everyone liking you is not the problem. Losing yourself is. Now, after hearing all of this, here's the real question. Which one of these mistakes has been shaping your life without you realizing it? Because the goal is not to judge yourself. The goal is to see yourself clearly. Awareness is where change begins. The biggest danger was never making these mistakes. The biggest danger was making them for years without seeing them. Once you can name a pattern, you are no longer fully trapped inside it. Once you can see it, you can challenge it. Once you can challenge it, you can begin to change it. And maybe that is the most important thing to remember from this entire video. Your mind is powerful, but it is not always right. It is designed to protect you, yes. But sometimes what protects you also limits you. So your job is not to believe every thought. Your job is to question it, observe it, understand it, train it. Because the moment you stop blindly trusting every pattern in your mind is the moment you start taking control of your life. And before you leave, do this honestly. In your own mind, or down in the comments, ask yourself which one of these mistakes you found in yourself, not in other people, in yourself. Because that moment of honesty, that moment right there, is stronger than most people realize. And for the next video, choose the next topic you want me to cover. Write it clearly. The best topic can become the next deep video.